Hey there everybody, JCM45 here, bringing you another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary carded Luke Skywalker in his Bespin attire. So to start off, we'll take a look at the packaging. The first thing you'll notice is it is on a old retro style card back that is a direct reproduction of the Empire Strikes Back figures from 1980. The card is almost identical in design. You have the Kenner logo down here with the warning here. You got the figure and a nice window here with his accessories. You have a photo of Luke Skywalker from The Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back up here, Luke Skywalker. And then in the corner up here you have the Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary sticker. Now you may notice my card here is a little bit bent. It arrived that way. I did receive this from Hasbro Pulse. It kind of is what it is. I'm obviously don't plan on keeping this on card. I'm going to open it up. It would be a shame though if I were a mint on card collector. This would kind of irritate me, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much. Real quick, we'll flip it around to the back and we'll take a look. You have the entire first wave of the 40th Anniversary Empire Strikes Back re-releases. All of these figures are re-releases. Most of them straight up, except for Luke here. He does have an updated head, and we'll get into that once we open him up. But the rest of the wave is you have Bespin Luke, Yoda, Hoth Leia, Hoth Han, and the AT-AT driver. And then you have a short little bio over here, and then the rest of your nonsense on the back. So that's the packaging. Let's open this guy up and take a look. Alright, we've got Luke out of the packaging here. And before we take a look at the figure itself, let's take a quick look at the accessories. The first accessory he comes with is his iconic blue-bladed lightsaber that he uses throughout the movie. The hilt is a nice silver plastic with black and gold detailing, as you can see there. And it is a very good likeness to the lightsabers seen in the movie. As you can see, it's got a little loop on the end, and that attaches to the belt on the hook on Luke's belt, excuse me. It's got a nice blue blade here, and before we pop that off, we'll take a quick comparison. This is the Skywalker Strikes lightsaber, the one that comes with the Black Series Yavin Luke, the Skywalker Strikes version. As you can see, the only real difference between the two, and that's the one on the bottom, is the Empire Strikes Back Luke has a loop on his belt, or on his lightsaber to hook onto his belt. And so, like I said, the blade is removable. Mine was incredibly tight out of the packaging, and it's not too bad now. I'm able to port it in now, no problem, but it was a little bit tight. As you can see, it's just a small peg there that just ports into the hilt. And with that little loop, you can drop that on the hook and have it hang on Luke's belt. The other accessory that was included is a DL-44 blaster. This is the same mold we've seen numerous times throughout the years. Not much has changed to it. It has a silver tip on it. Here's the one that comes with the Empire Strikes Back Han. As you can see, the only real difference there is Han's has a black tip. And that you can actually just slide into Luke's holster on his thigh. And those are the accessories. Alright, so here's Luke Skywalker as he appeared in the third act of The Empire Strikes Back, when he goes to Cloud City to confront Darth Vader. Hasbro did a pretty good job on this figure. Now the body on this figure is an older figure. It came out, I want to say, around like 2015, 2016-ish, maybe. Don't quote me on that, I don't know off the top of my head. But it is an older figure, so the articulation and some of those aspects are a little limited compared to what we're used to now. But it's really not bad. So let's take a closer look. We'll start off with the head sculpt, which I feel which is actually only the only new part to this figure. This is an all new head sculpt from the original release, which I unfortunately do not have for comparison's sake, so sorry about that. But this is an all new head sculpt. I feel like they captured Mark Hamill's likeness very, very well as he looked in Empire Strikes Back. The hair is done nicely there. It's a nice dirty blonde like Luke always has, really. It has a nice wash in the hair to kind of bring out the details, which is great. And then the photoreal face printing that Hasbro has been using lately with the figures is just great here. It captures Mark's likeness very well. One of the best Mark Hamill likenesses they've done, and we'll do a couple comparisons on some of the newer likenesses that they've done the past couple of years in a little bit. So moving on down to the torso and the upper portion of the figure. Now this is where the figure comes back to being a several-year-old figure, but as you can see, they did a good job back then. It still holds up pretty well. The sculpting is quite nice. You got all the wrinkles sculpted in there quite well, and they were nice and included a very good wash to help bring out all the details throughout the figure. And that also carries on down to the belt, which is a soft floating piece that is separate from the rest of the figure, so you can move that up and down. That's with the holster attached as well, and that is quite nice. You can see the silver paint punched into the belt buckle, or the little buckles there, and you can see the detail in the holster and whatnot. Moving on down to the legs, you see more of that same sculpting and detailing that is consistent throughout the rest of the figure. It is quite nice. They did a good job capturing how those fatigues looked. And then down at the bottom we have Luke's Hoth boots that he wore throughout Empire Strikes Back. And those are done in a gray plastic with another nice wash added to it to bring out all those details. Very nicely done. I think for being an older figure, they did quite a good job. I'm very happy with this guy. Okay, going over articulation. We'll start off at the head. It can turn a full 360 degrees around. It does use the traditional ball and hinge system that Hasbro usually uses, which allows him to look up about that far. He can look down about that far, and he does have some tilt, which is cool. It's always nice when we get a little bit of tilt in the head, neck region. Moving on down to the torso, or to the shoulders actually. He's got a hinge and swivel system. His shoulder can arc out about that much. It can rotate all the way around. He's got no bicep swivel. He does have an elbow swivel right here, and his elbow gets a little tiny bit past 90 degrees. And then the wrists are on a lateral peg and hinge system, so they can move up and down on both hands for the lightsaber. Moving on down to the torso, he's got a diaphragm joint that allows him to swivel. He can crunch only about that much. He can't really crunch that far. As I said, it is an older figure, so the articulation is kind of limited. He can arc back about that far, and he doesn't really have any tilt. He's got a little tiny bit of tilt. Moving on down to the hips, his legs can kick out that far. They can't really kick back that far. His butt kind of gets in the way, and he can spread to about there. He does have a thigh swivel. Mine are kind of tight, but it is there and it does function. He's got a double jointed knee that allows him to kick all the way back. And then he's got a ankle joint that kicks back about that far, kicks forward that far, and has a forward-facing pin for rocker. Okay, let's take a look at a couple comparisons. We'll take a look at a couple Lukes, and then we'll take a look at some other Star Wars figures. So first off, we will take a look at the Yavin Luke from the Skywalker Strikes pack. The fan channel exclusive Skywalker Strikes. As you can see, let's get a closer look at the head sculpts here. As you can see, the head sculpts are a little bit different. The Skywalker Strikes just doesn't really look quite right to me. There's something a little off about it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's okay. And so that's the Skywalker Strikes comparison. Next up, we'll look at Jedi Knight, the Walmart exclusive Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. And as you can see, the head sculpts are a little different there as well. Jedi Knight's also a little taller for some reason, don't know why. But the head sculpts actually here both look pretty good in my opinion. They both seem to capture Mark Hamill as he appeared in each movie. You can see a little bit of a difference there. Jedi Knight Luke's hair is a little bit darker than Bespin Luke, and the details are a little bit different. But they both look pretty good. A lot better than Skywalker Strikes, I can say that. Alright. So now that we looked at a couple Lukes, let's look at some other figures. First up, we'll look at Luke and Bespin, or Empire Strikes Back Han. Oop. If he doesn't knock over. There we go. Luke and Han looking pretty good together. Next up, we'll look at Luke and his sister, Leia. They also look very good together. Take a look at Luke with Yoda. The Archive series Yoda. That's not the newest one that's in the Empire Strikes Back 40th wave, although it is the same exact figure that came out in the Archive wave. Literally exactly the same. Next, we'll take a look at the SH Figuarts R2-D2 with Luke. I am not a big fan of the Black Series R2-D2 mold. I think it's a little too small, and the proportions are off, and I'm just not a fan of it. So I went with the SH Figuarts for my collection, and I really like it. It's got a lot of cool features, and I think the sizing is a little bit closer to what it's supposed to be in the movies. So there's Luke and R2. Next up, we'll look at Luke and C-3PO. This is from the C-3PO from the 2-pack that comes with Chewbacca, the one that his limbs disassemble to recreate the scene where Chewbacca was carrying him around on his back. Speaking of our Wookiee friend Chewie, here he is from that same 2-pack. He's quite taller, as you can see. But they look great as well. Next up, we'll take a look at Luke with a Stormtrooper. This one's the battle-damaged fan channel exclusive that comes with some explosive effect parts. And then last but not least, we'll take a look at Luke with my Darth Vader of choice, the Medicom Mafex, or Mafex, however you pronounce it, Rogue One Darth Vader. And that does it for comparisons. Alright, that is my review of the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Edition Luke Skywalker. And I gotta say, I really like it. It's pretty good for a figure that's a few years old. There's a couple compromises you have to deal with, like limited torso and elbow articulation. But other than that, it's really not bad. It's got a nice sculpt. It's got good detailing. The photo reel on the face captures Mark Hamill's likeness quite well, which is kind of hard to do, as you've seen with a couple other figures that we showed off. And other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Can't complain about too much. I am a little annoyed at Hasbro Pulse for bending the card. Not so much for me, because I don't really care. I opened it up. But they should know that there are a lot of people who collect mint on card, especially that type of product. So the fact that they bent it and it was directly from Hasbro and their distribution is a little irritating, because I expect a little bit more, but I guess it is what it is. So other than that, figure's good, accessories are good. I can't really complain. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Like, comment, subscribe, do what you do, and stay safe out there.